Hello, this is Keith, welcoming you to the 1948th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline the 3rd of April 2014. The readers this week are Janet, Sally and a new reader, Colin. Welcome, Colin, with Robin on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, under their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Ferdinand Bouillon, Harry Breur, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. Local stories include candidates in walkout, and churches should be places with children at their heart. First of all, special news items. Please note that there will be no Enfield Vision meeting on the 7th of April. The Enfield Macular Disease Support Group meets on the second Wednesday of every month from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at the Trinity Church Hall, Gentleman's Row, Enfield, EN2 6AN. The meetings are open to anyone affected by central vision loss. Carers are welcome too. For further details, please contact Alan Newson on 020 8886 5659. That's Alan Newson on 020 8886 5659. The Home Library Service is part of Enfield Libraries and provides a delivery service to people living in the borough who are unable to visit a branch library due to age, mobility, disability or their caring responsibilities. We visit each of our members every 4 weeks. The service is free and we will tailor it to your taste. For visually impaired people, we can provide books in large print or recorded books on CD or cassette. We can also bring music on CD or films on DVD for people with some vision. Members are free to reserve particular items. If you'd like to join the Home Library Service or know someone who would, please call 01992 716 010 and we will arrange for the Community Access Librarian to visit you. I'll give you that number again. It's 01992 716 010. If you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and she will be pleased to help you. That's Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. Now Janet will read the first item of local news.
3 Tory councillors publicly resigned as candidates for the upcoming local elections in front of an MP and representatives from Conservative HQ at an annual meeting. In what has been described as the culmination of a civil war within the Enfield Southgate Conservative Association, Urton Hura, Elaine Haywood and Robert Haywood, who were all due to stand for re-election, announced that they would not be fighting for the party in the polls and that they would be leaving the association permanently before walking out of the meeting. The meeting at the association's office in Chaseville Park Road, Winchmore Hill, was held to elect a raft of new officers. Initially there was confusion about whether the trio had also resigned as councillors. But Mr. Hura, ward councillor for Winchmore Hill, told the Advertiser late yesterday afternoon, "I have decided to step down, but not with immediate effect. I am still a serving councillor and I am still loyal to the Conservative Party." Denying that the public and sudden resignations were prompted by bitter arguments at the meeting, which was attended by Enfield Southgate MP David Burrows, Mr. Hura said, "Disagreements happen. I would have tendered my resignation in due course anyway." Although the Haywoods did not respond to the Advertiser's approach for a comment, an association spokesman confirmed that the husband and wife duo, who currently serve Southgate and Winchmore Hill wards respectively, were reselected in October to stand as candidates. With only weeks to go before the council elections, the association spokesman said, "Replacements will be picked as soon as possible." He said that the public walkouts were the culmination of a rumbling civil war within the Tories locally, and added, "We now hope that this draws a line under the matter and we move towards the election as a united and strong party."
Mothers have welcomed an Edmonton church's decision to become one of the first in the country to actively promote breastfeeding in a place of worship. All Saints Church in Church Street has signed up for Enfield's breastfeeding-friendly business scheme, along with coffee shops and other businesses. Vicar Stuart Owen believes this is a positive step to promote breastfeeding in public places. He said, "When we saw the opportunity come up, I was delighted to put this to the church committee as something we can really promote. Although I am sure many places of worship are, in practice, breastfeeding friendly, I'd imagine that many mums might well feel more self-conscious about breastfeeding in a church than in their local cafe. Churches should be places with children at their heart and places where people come to be nourished and nurtured, and joining this scheme is a simple, practical way of affirming that." Mother's Day was a reason for double celebration at the church, with mums gathering to launch the new policy. Nadine Wills, a mother of two from Latimer Road, adjacent to the church, said, "It is great news that the church is publicly promoting this. We don't want breastfeeding not to feel natural anymore, and having somewhere like a church encouraging this is good." Emma Chapman said, "I felt so self-conscious breastfeeding while out and about that I used to hide in the car and get my husband to hang jumpers in the window to hide me. I'd have been a lot less worried if I knew somewhere was breastfeeding friendly and I didn't have to worry about disapproving looks." Breastfeeding was recently in the public eye after a woman was labelled a tramp on a social media website for breastfeeding her daughter on a step. Mr. Owen added, "This is one of the most natural things in the world, and it is baffling that anyone could think otherwise. When we announced the new scheme, it was met with a round of applause, which was fantastic. You never know how people are going to react to something like this." CEO of parent website Mumsnet, Justine Roberts, said, "Lots of Mumsnet users say they feel disapproval when they're out and need to breastfeed their child. It's great to hear that churches, at least, are accommodating what is, after all, a completely natural process. Let's hope their actions will help shift attitudes of those who still consider breastfeeding a taboo." Pope Francis is also in favour of encouraging breastfeeding in places of worship and told national media in January, "If they are hungry mothers, feed them without thinking twice, because they are the most important people here."
The first council house to be built in Enfield for more than 30 years is a step closer to reality. Kia plc has been appointed as Enfield Borough Council's partner for the redevelopment of 7 council-owned sites, which will create 94 new homes. There will be a mixture of 2, 3 and 4 bedroom houses and 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, with work on the first development in Parsonage Lane starting in June this year. Councillor Ahmet Oykner, Enfield Councillor's Cabinet Member for Housing, said, "We have taken an innovative approach to the planning and funding arrangements, providing 37 affordable rented council-owned homes. A wholly council-owned property company will be able to use the income generated from the remaining 57 homes to fund the whole development. The sites include 9 to 85 Parsonage Lane, 22 to 68 Forty Hill, 119 to 135 Lavender Hill, 50 to 60 St George's Road, 41 to 63 Tudor Crescent, 1 to 18 Jasper Close, and garages to the rear of 131 to 161 Holtwhite's Hill." Here's an article which has been overtaken by events, as the lady in question has, as of today, the 3rd of April, now been deported according to media news. But I'll read the article, which gives some background information about the case. A mother has spoken of her fears that her daughter is still being detained ahead of her deportation to Mauritius. Oasis Academy Hadley pupil Yashika of Fox Lane, Palmer's Green, faced the trauma of being sent out of the country alone after coming to the UK with her family in 2012. The 19-year-old's appeal for asylum was turned down over Christmas, shattering her dreams of completing her A-levels at the school and going on to study maths at university. Her mother and her younger brother and sister are also due to be deported at a later date. But in a situation similar to the first attempts to deport her, the teenager was stopped from boarding the plane amid claims that Air Mauritius would not take her back. Speaking to the Enfield Independent, Ms. Bhagirathi said, "I'm feeling very worried and sad that my daughter is still at the detention centre. All she wants is to be back with her friends and in school for her exams. She's not a criminal, so why is she still there and not at school? I'm very proud of all the support that I've had in this fight." The battle to save Yashika from deportation reached the House of Commons when Enfield Southgate MP David Burrows raised her case in the House of Commons and urged Immigration Minister James Brokenshire to step in and release her from Yarlswood Detention Centre in Bedfordshire, where she's been kept for 2 weeks. Mr Burrows said, "Her plight has been championed by the students at Oasis Academy Hadley School and by over 170,000 people in an online petition. They want her back to continue her studies and to complete her A-levels in May." Given that Home Office policy says specifically that someone who is 3 months away from sitting a major exam will not be removed, will the Minister order the release of Yashika today and allow common sense and compassion to prevail? Mr Brokenshire claimed that Home Secretary Theresa May would not intervene because of the decision to reject her application for asylum and remove her from the UK was upheld by the courts. He said, "The decision has been upheld and supported by the courts. Given those circumstances and the extent and level of judicial and other scrutiny, the Home Secretary has indicated that she does not feel that it is appropriate to intervene. That remains our position." Solicitors of Yashika are at a tribunal court in a bid to secure an injunction to allow her to complete her A-level exams this summer. I'm sure that's not the last we shall hear of this case, so watch this space.
I have a splendid picture of some firemen all dressed up in all their gear and their lovely red helmets. 7 firefighters with more than 200 years' experience between them were sent off to retirement in style as they hung up their helmets for good. They were honoured with a final roll call at the Parade Square in Enfield Fire Station in Carterhatch Lane. Station manager Jim Veers, 54, who was among the 7, revealed to the Advertiser that he will miss working with his team after serving the fire brigade for 36 years. "It is the teamwork that I think we will all miss most," the veteran firefighter said. "Working so closely with everybody, having their backs, we really are like a family here." But although the past 30 years have been demanding physically, he admits he is better in shape than many other retirees. "Well, you have to stay fit for the job," Jim modestly revealed. "We have to run with heavy equipment up flights of stairs, so good fitness comes with the territory." Having saved lives throughout the borough for more than 3 decades, he says that a defining moment in his career was the role he played in dealing with the aftermath of the July 7th bombings in central London 2005. And although the 7 men will not be given commemorative watches, the station manager revealed that their trophy cabinets are already weighed down with the medals they were all given after completing 20 years' service in the brigade. Handing in their badges and boots alongside the station manager in the morning roll call were firefighters Kevin Kent, Dick Barnes, Steve Pyle and Ian Rapley. The night watch roll call saw firefighters Paul Carey and John Cobbold slide down the pole for the final time.
An MP has accused the council of taking credit for a government scheme aimed at helping small businesses survive tough times. Speaking to the Advertiser shortly after, council chiefs invited the borough's small businesses to apply for a rates relief scheme which could save small retailers up to £1,000, Nick Dubois said the council seemed more concerned with taking credit for a scheme than in helping struggling businesses. The Enfield North MP added, "The key thing here is that businesses must apply to the council in order to access the £1,000 business rate relief. Enfield Council should have put this on the bills it has sent to businesses, but it seems more concerned with trying to take the credit for what is a government decision than actually helping people on our high streets and in our small businesses. The Rates Relief Scheme is part of a government initiative set to operate over the next 2 years and will be run by the local authority. The scheme, which is open to businesses such as shops, restaurants, cafes and pubs that have a rateable value of less than £50,000, was detailed in a leaflet sent out with rates bills. Andrew Stafford, Cabinet Member for Finance and Property, said the Council is absolutely committed to creating a thriving and successful retail sector, and supporting small businesses is a key part of that. Enfield Council does all it can to support businesses of all sizes, but recognises that smaller businesses sometimes need a little extra help. Mr Stafford said that information was available on the Council's website and responses so far had been slow. He added, "We are urging small retailers to look at the information and see if they are eligible."
Councillors have given the go-ahead for a new 500-seat stand at Tottenham Hotspur's training ground. The training facilities in Whitewebbs Lane, Enfield, are used by the Premier League side every day and are situated in the green belt of the borough. Members of Enfield Borough Council's Planning Committee approved plans for the 90-metre-long stand, which will be a maximum of 3.7 metres high, after visiting the site themselves on March the 22nd. But despite winning council approval, Jill Simpson, owner of Village Whole Food Shop in Forty Hill, is incensed by the outcome and wrote to local councillors to vent her dismay. She said, "Any development on the green belt can be very deleterious to the sustainability of our countryside. The officer's report has carefully listed many of the planning laws or regulations, protections, both national and local, which apply to this application. In my opinion, they confirm that this type of development should not be allowed in such sensitive and nationally important locations. There is no need for this stand here in this location. The Premier League does not at any time state that the training ground must have a 500-seater stand with floodlights. It is not a requirement."
A planning chief has hit out against allegations that block party decisions in committee meetings is a sign of forbidden whipped voting on controversial development plans. In a question submitted by Planning Committee member Lee Chamberlain, councillor for Bush Hill Park Ward, he asked Planning Chairman Andreas Constantinides to provide a detailed breakdown of voting records for every planning decision taken in 2013. He said, "Given the pattern of voting in planning does suggest whipped voting by the Labour side, will you publish for the record the voting pattern for all non-unanimous planning meeting approvals in 2013? Whipped voting means that councillors are told that they have to vote the way their party wants them to. However, council regulations forbid anyone from telling councillors on a planning committee how to vote." Refuting that any Labour member of the committee was ever told how to vote, Mr Constantinides replied, "Members are regularly reminded that whipping is not appropriate within the committee, and I don't believe there's evidence to suggest that this takes place." Addressing the fact that Labour councillors often vote as a block on contentious planning applications, including the Cat Hill development, Ladderswood regeneration and Bowes Road flats, he added, "Legal advice has confirmed that members of one party voting together for an application does not, in itself, constitute whipping." According to the voting breakdown provided in council papers, councillors were split along party lines with no abstentions on 9 occasions out of 62 during 2013. However, Kim Coleman, leader of the Cat Hill campaign group, said she was frustrated when the application to build 231 homes on the site of the former Middlesex University campus in Cockfosters was voted through in March 2013, after Labour councillors voted together to pass the development. On the night of the Cat Hill vote, some of the councillors were asking questions that were actually answered in the officer's report, she told the Advertiser, adding that many residents were frustrated with Labour's block voting. 8 Labour councillors voted in favour of the development, as opposed to the 5 Conservatives who opposed it. 1 Labour councillor was absent from the vote and 1 Tory withdrew.
The borough's health watchdog has called the NHS chiefs to be more transparent about performance at Chase Farm Hospital. Following a meeting of Barnet, Enfield and Haringey Joint Health Scrutiny Panel, Lorna Reith, Chief Executive of Health Watch Enfield, said that claims made by managers of the trust administering Chase Farm and Barnet hospitals did not stack up. At the meeting, Fiona Smith, Chief Operating Officer of the Trust, said that admissions, particularly of elderly patients, had gone up during the winter, which she said was partly responsible for causing delays at the emergency unit at Barnet Hospital. But Ms. Reith said, "They say admissions have gone up, but figures show that emergency admissions are going down. The picture is clearly more complicated." A Health Watch report published on March the 18th shows that emergency admissions, when an A&E patient is admitted to a ward, gradually dropped from 486 in the week ending January 26 to 423 in the week ending February 23rd. Despite the drop in admissions, A&E performance at Barnet was poor. In the week ending February the 2nd, the hospital treated 81.9% of A&E patients in the target time of 4 hours, rising to 86.6% in the week ending February the 23rd. Performance fell well below the expected 95%. Meanwhile, Health Watch figures show that cancellations of elective surgery at the Trust have also gone up. During the period between the start of November and the end of February, there were 48 cancellations, compared to only 7 last year. North Middlesex University Hospital in Stirling Way, Edmonton, reported 6 cancellations. The report said that it was unclear whether the increase in cancelled operations was related to the closure of the A&E at Chase Farm in the Ridgeway Enfield in December last year. Miss Reith added, "We can't get the figures broken down by hospital, so we don't get the full picture of what is going on. There seems to be no spare capacity at Chase Farm, so either the modelling is incorrect or they have closed down too many beds. They should be more transparent so we know what we are dealing with."
Protesters gathered outside a sewage plant in a bid to stop the stink at the site. Residents who live close to Deepham's sewage works in Meridian Way, Edmonton, are hoping to bring an end to foul smells emanating from the plant. The site, which used to cater for 750,000 people but will now take on sewage from 1 million people, is undergoing a £250 million 3-year upgrade. Campaigners are keen to see technology used to help reduce the smell that has blighted homes nearby. Nassimi Erbil of Nightingale Road, Edmonton, opposite the plant, said, "This affects our health, especially in the morning when you can smell it more. My children can't play in the garden at times because the smell is so bad. We really need to see an improvement, and we must fight to make sure Thames Water hear our voices. It's the people who live closest that are the most affected." Edmonton MP Andy Love accompanied protesters and urged Thames Water to end odours at the plant once and for all. He said, "We are trying to highlight the issue that there are quite acrid smells that come from the plant. We understand why that has happened in the past, but now they are upgrading the facility. This is a great opportunity to do something serious about it." People have got used to the idea that nothing will happen, but we are trying to let people know that a major investment is going on here, and we want to persuade Thames Water that there is justification for slightly more investment to really deal with the problem. Thames Water Communications Manager Mark Matthews spoke with campaigners and told the Enfield Independent it will listen to residents. He said, "Our main message here is to make sure that people's voices are heard when we make our representation, particularly the ones who live closest, because we want to be a good neighbour. We want to look into the issues they have and address them in the best way that we can."
An Enfield school is taking part in a reading event organised by the Premier League. Honeylands Primary School in Lovell Road, Enfield, will take part in the Premier League Reading Stars programme, which aims to use children's passion for football to motivate them to enjoy reading. Each of the 20 Premier League sides will select one of its players to become a reading star, to talk about their favourite books, setting challenges via online videos. Tottenham Hotspur's Belgium defender Jan Vertonghen revealed his favourite children's book is Matilda by Roald Dahl, and his choice of adult book is Inferno by Dan Brown. The school will kick off its 10-week programme on Thursday, May the 1st from 3:30pm until 4:30pm, and will conclude on Thursday, June the 26th. Mario Lopez Goichicha, the school's project leader, said, "Having run the programme before, I can vouch for its effectiveness and impact. It transforms children's reading habits, especially those of boys, for the better." Roald Dahl books were a popular theme amongst the selected players, with 8 of the 20 choosing his books. Half of the players also chose books about professional footballers as their preferred adult book.
A new supermarket is set to open in Enfield, creating 60 jobs. Marks & Spencer Simply Food will open in Enfield Retail Park in Crown Road. The store will be open Monday to Saturday from 8am to 8pm and 11am to 5pm on Sundays. Store manager Kate Thomas said, "We are delighted to be opening an M&S Simply Food store in Enfield, which will provide local customers with a great new shopping experience." We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.